And I guess his first question is, do you have a sister?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and can I meet her at the Parrot Speak or whatever, right?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of That's Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. If you like to gamble, tell you I'm your man. You win some, lose some. It's all the same to me. More on that later. But first, we have music to listen to. Andy, what track have you got in store for me?
I've got a track called My Mistakes Were Made for You, and it is by a group I'm sure you're familiar with, though I don't know to what extent or how much. And that group is The Last Shadow Puppets.
Yes, I do know The Last Shadow Puppets.
Okay. Are you familiar
Um,
with this song?
no, I think I may have heard it once, but I don't remember it. The
Okay.
only our first album, the only one that stuck for me was the title track, "The Age of Understatement."
Yeah.
Um, that's the only one, and it's
Okay.
it's, it's that galloping tune.
Yes.
Um,
Well, this is a live iteration from Jools Holland, and this track is off that album.
hmm,
So perhaps you have heard it before. I'm not sure.
may have done,
Um,
but I don't
but
remember.
go off and give this song, this performance on y'all's beloved Jules Holland a listen, and then come back and let me know what you think, man.
Will do.
Thanks.
About as subtle as an earthquake, I know my mistakes were made for you. And in the back room of a bad dream, she came and whisked me away enthused. And it's as solid as a rock rolling down a hill. The fact is that it probably will hit something on the hazardous terrain. And we just follow in the flock rounds and in between before we smash to smithereens like they were. And we scrambled from the blame. And it's the fame that put words in her mouth. She couldn't help but spit them out. Innocence and arrogance entwined in the filthiest of minds. But she was bitten on her birthday.
When the strings came in there, I just got shivers of Scott Walker. Um, Scott Walker 2, maybe. Yeah, this is enjoyable straight away. I do like his sort of wry storytelling. Um, oh man, the more you think about it, I know I put together a few years ago, but you know, Jarvis Cocker's right in there. Um, and also Wedding Present as well, Mr. Gage. Um, yeah, you see those influences. But he's a bit more. Yeah, he's always looking sideways when he's commentating on stuff, I feel, which is interesting. Um, yeah, and I do enjoy listening to his little sort of snippets of life. Yeah, this is a really nice start. There's the nice jazzy drums to it as well. And despite myself, I did actually quite like that spooky guitar bit. That's quite funny. But yeah, it's got a lovely feel to it. It's late with Jools, so it's always fantastic sounding as well. So yeah, sounds good. Good start.
And now a face in the crowd, she's not. But I suspect that now forever the shame she came to escape is forgot. And it's a lot to ask her not to stay and give her less than everything. Around your crooked conscience she will wind. Following the flock rounds and in between before we smashed to smithereens like they were, and we scrambled from the grave. And it's the fame that put words in her mouth. She couldn't tell but spit them out. Around your crooked conscience she will wind. And it's a lot to ask her not to stay and give her less than everything. Innocence and arrogance and swine.
Like that. Yeah. He does that with the way he scans stuff and sings sometimes. There's that sort of sing song, da 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 da. But then it's sort of punchy, he goes into that punchy sort of singing, and then this, and then that, and then this. And I love the way it climaxed and then came down the strings again. It's really sort of that 60s storytelling pop. God, what's his face? Cake or Death. It'll come to me. Lee, no. Yeah, Lee, it'll come to me. Yeah, I do like that sound a lot. I'm just going to whiz it back a little bit because that sort of little climaxy bit was really nice.
To ask her not to stay and give her less than everything. Innocence and arrogance and swine.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really enjoyable actually. And that last section there, the instrumental was sort of coming out and he's messing with the guitar. Again, that sounded really 60s. I mean, it was, or early 70s. It wasn't quite getting into avenues and alleyways sort of territory, but it was, you could see it over the road from there. But yeah, really enjoyable. I should have paid more attention to the lyrics, which I will do on repeated listens, definitely, because there's a narrative there as well, obviously. But yeah, delivery, performance, perfect. And I love the overall sound of it as well. Really nice. Yeah, this is a thumbs up. Let's get back to Andy and get the skinny on the whole shebang.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. So what say you of this this live performance and this ditty?
Yeah, I didn't remember the song. I almost certain I've heard it before, but I couldn't remember it. I don't know how you'll get into it, I know, but I don't know how long after the Monkees' debut album this was. I think it's a couple of years. It wouldn't have been, I mean, it wouldn't have been much more than that. But I mean, I think we talked about this before. I absolutely adored the first album. Got it pretty much the day it came out, actually, before the bandwagon rolled even more. I mean, there was an internet sort of swelling behind the band already, but then it became mainstream, and you had people like Gordon Brown saying that they were his favorite band. And advice that was from I'm in staff there. But yeah, so then I went through this period after the second album of like distancing myself from them. But I remember this coming out, grabbing it, listening to it once, not really paying it that much attention, to the kind of mood I was in then, I guess.
That sounds
But I
right.
will say, I will say, Jools Holland is a bit like KEXP, PX, whatever.
Mhm.
You guarantees really decent show, and yeah, it was more the same with this.
Yeah.
So, and there was, how people say this was interesting, and you're never quite sure when they say that, whether that means that it was fascinating or they didn't like it.
Then they don't have the heart to just say what they mean. Right. Exactly.
So this was interesting. I liked it. So it starts with those sort of ringing. Obviously, Turner's on his acoustic, and it's Alex Kane. I don't know why his name sticks in my mind, but it does. Am
Miles
I
Kane.
right? There you
Miles.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Alex Turner. Sorry, Miles Kane. Yeah.
Yep. You got it.
I always think of Bob Kane, who created Batman. I don't know why, but I just put those two together, and they're not similar characters at all. But yeah, it starts with these ringing electric guitar chords from Miles, and they have that slightly 1960s spy movie vibe to them.
Yeah. With just a little twang on the guitar, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you have that kind of slight reverb that you have with those sort of tunes, and a lot of TV theme tunes had it as well. More on that later. There's also a really nice sort of jazzy drum beat to it, and then Turner launches into the vocals. This sort of iteration of his vocal style is my favorite.
Mhm.
I know he has worked on developing his style and his vocal talents, but the rules say you've got to pick a favorite, so this is mine. The whole sound is great with the acoustic guitar. There's a gentle keyboard, which is almost sounding like a bloody xylophone behind there.
Mhm.
And I don't even mind the electric guitar dashes like salted hot chocolate. There's
Yeah.
one right near the start, which is straight out of Hammer Horror. I mean, it's ridiculous, but even I let that go. So I must have been in a good mood. As he starts singing, I'm reminded of the influences that we've kind of, I think, spoken up for, like Jarvis Cocker from Pulp and Mr. Gedge from Wedding Present on Turner Style. But the sort of the best version of Alex Turner has that storyteller aspect or sort of social, chronicler. But it's always with a kind of a sideways view at it, which I do enjoy.
Mhm.
Um, Around about the minute mark, he says a line in the filthiest of minds, and then the strings launch. And that's when I had a bit of a moment to realization. I got shivers of Scott Walker about it. And then it clicked into place that the parallel between The Age of Understatement and Jackie by Scott Walker. And it's like it's so obvious, and I'd never seen it until that moment. It's
Yeah.
ping. And yeah, of course. So we're into that sort of full late 60s doomed romantic narrative. There was another person whose name eventually came to mind in the reaction. I couldn't remember his name, but I said, I'll get it. And I did. Lee Hazelwood. Obviously his stuff and his stuff with Nancy Sinatra as well. So
Mhm.
that sprang to mind as well. It's a similar sort of thing. So the whole band and the orchestra is sounding wonderful. And it's that kind of full sound. I love all that. I really do.
Mhm.
Turner's singing away, and he does that thing that a couple of times during it, but which is quite a thing for him. He has that cadence where he's scanning, where it goes from like a sing song, da, 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 and then it goes into a punchy, da, 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 and it's been
Yeah.
underpinned by punchy brass and the sort of, I would call them desperate strings. Um, and the second time he does it, it reaches a melodramatic climax which then goes into a wonderful coda of timpanis, rasping brass, swirling strings, and the 60s spy guitar, before sort of, finishing off. I totally missed, which are the obvious narrative, because I was having so much fun with the music, to be honest with you. But I am 98% sure it's a cautionary tale where someone gets their comeuppance. And I will definitely listen to this again. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm really glad you liked it, and or in your words, loved it. I've always, when it comes to anything Turner, I know where you are and I know where you aren't. And the where you aren't is a larger pull than the where you are. I know you adore that first album. But there's so many subsequent albums and other side projects and stuff that, and even solo stuff that he's done, where it's like, I don't know if this is for John because it's around the time where he stopped, listening to Alex Turner stuff. So, and this is right in that wheelhouse of like 2008. So I think this is maybe just after the second Monkees album came out, I would imagine, you know what I mean? Because like Favorite Worst Nightmare, I think, was around that time. So yeah, it was, but he still has that youth to him, and he still has the it's almost a shakier voice with it that's laden with more of his natural accent. But I love that. I love that delivery so much. It's what made me fall in love with the band, you know what I mean? And him as a musician. So I kind of gravitate toward it as well. And you're spot on with the Walker stuff. I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, it was, and the strings, the performance, all of it is really fun to watch. And I really enjoy watching Miles Kane tinker around on that guitar and the sounds that they're producing. And like you said, the sort of late 60s Bond-esque style to the tone of everything and the guitars is really great too, especially coupled with an orchestra, because you'd have that in a Bond song as well, right? So I love the atmosphere in this one, love the mood of it. So yeah, let's get into the band and the tune a little bit. The Last Shadow Puppets are an English supergroup consisting of Alex Turner of Arctic Monkeys, Miles Kane of the Rascals, James Ford of Simeon, and Zach Dawes of Mini Mansions. That was your guy back there on the keyboard, is one of the singers for Mini Mansions. The Last Shadow Puppets were formed by the co-frontmen Alex Turner and Miles Kane in 2007 after they became friends when Kane's band supported Arctic Monkeys on a tour in 2005. They bonded over their shared love for Scott Walker and David Bowie and decided to write songs inspired by their music. At first, the thought of as a one-off, they were at first thought of as a one-off side project, though they would go on to release 2 records: The Age of Understatement in 2008, which is this is off of, and following a lengthy hiatus, they released Everything You've Come to Expect in 2016. Both of their albums reached number 1 on the UK charts, and they were nominated for a Brit Award in the British Breakthrough category. And shortlisted for a Mercury Prize in the Best Album category for The Age of the Understatement. My Mistakes Were Made for You is the 3rd single released by the Last Shadow Puppets, and it was released on October 20th, 2008 in the UK on Domino Records. The song was inspired by Scott Walker's song The Old Man's Back Again off of his album Scott 4. The song also appears to glean influences from Noel Harrison's The Windmills of Your Mind. And early in the hiatus between the 2 albums, Turner and Kane reunited briefly at the NME Awards on February 25th, 2009, where they won Best Music Video for My Mistakes Were Made for You, which was actually directed by, is it Richard Iowati? The sort of comedian and
really,
broadcast. I think he's very charmingly funny. I've seen him a lot on shows. I've seen him at some of his television stuff that he's done, but I've also seen him in interviews where he really shines because he just gets to be himself. Very funny guy, very talented guy, and I think he also, if I'm not mistaken, he may have been involved with the video for Cornerstone, which was a song that I gave you when we were on Into the Music, I believe. I think that Richard did that video as well. So
he's gone on to become a full director of movies.
Right, exactly.
Acting and writing,
So yeah, I think he first started doing like music videos and stuff like that, and then I think he actually got into full blown like directorial role. Yeah, really, really talented guy. So yeah, let me jump into the lyrics here. About as subtle as an earthquake, I know my mistakes were made for you. And in the back room of a bad dream, she came and whisked me away, enthused. And it's solid as a rock rolling down a hill. The fact that this is that it probably will hit something on the hazardous terrain. And we're just following the flock round and in between before we smash to smithereens like they were. Then we scramble from the blame. And it's the fame that put words in her mouth. She couldn't help but spit them out. Innocence and arrogance entwined in the filthiest of minds. She was bitten on her birthday, and now a face in the crowd she's not. And I suspect that now forever the shape she came to escape is forgot. And it's a lot to ask her not to sting and give her less than everything. Around your crooked conscience she will wind. Because we're just following the flock around and in between before we smash to smithereens like they were. Then we scramble from the blame. And it's the fame that put words in her mouth. She couldn't help but spit them out. Around your crooked conscience she will wind. And it's a lot to ask her not to sting and give her less than everything. Innocence and arrogance entwined. So My Mistakes Were Made for You narrates the story of a girl whose innocence and arrogance entwined lead her to get involved with a celebrity singing the lyrics. So it's almost like this groupie becomes, a side piece, and she probably develops feelings that there's obviously no way to reciprocate because she's in love with a rock star, which is a moving target, and that's never going to work out. And to be honest, I think around this time, because he was in the spotlight so much and so many of his relationships were in the spotlight and in the scrutiny, like this, writing about this subject matter came pretty easily to Mr. Turner, as there are songs similar to this coming out, I think, on Favorite Worst Nightmare as well. So yeah, interesting stuff. Cautionary tale, as you put it.
And I guess his first question is, do you have a sister?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and can I meet her at the Parrot's Beak or whatever, right? Oh, that's great. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for giving this a listen. I'm really glad that you enjoyed not only just the song for what it was, but this really cool live performance with all these orchestral instruments and everything. It was really, really pretty to the ear. Everybody out there in the listening audience, let us know what you think of Last Shadow Puppets. If you're familiar with this track or that first album that they put out, or the subsequent one that came out in 2016. They remind you of anything, or if you've got any other general statements you want to offer up, the comments field is there for a reason. It's your canvas on which to paint your words. Just be kind. That's all we ask. Also, if you're new here, like, share, and subscribe. Actually, if you've been here several times, feel free to like and share. But if you're new, subscribe, because we're trying to grow the numbers here, trying to grow the audiophile army, and we can't do that without all you noobs. And we really, really do appreciate it. All that out of the way, John and I will see all y'all, and hopefully plenty more, on the next episode of the Audiophiles. See you later, guys.